Hi everyone, I'm Lynn Trong with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar hosted by the DOE Race to Zero Student Design Competition. Before we begin, I'll quickly go over some of the webinar features. For audio, you have two options. You can either listen through your computer or telephone. You can choose to listen through your computer. Please select the mic and speakers option in the audio pane. By doing so, you'll eliminate the possibility of feedback and echo. If you select the telephone option, you'll already see a box on the right that will display the telephone number and PIN. Panelists, we ask that you please mute your audio device while you are not presenting. If you have any technical difficulties with the webinar, you can contact the GoToWebinars help desk for assistance. If you'd like to ask a question, be sure to use the questions pane to type in your question. If you are having difficulties viewing the materials, today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available. And now for today's presentation. Our webinar today is Race to Zero Student Design Competition. Kickstart your 2018 Race to Zero competition. Our speakers today are Sam Rashkin, Director of the Race to Zero and VTO Chief Architect, and Rachel Romero, Project Leader and Engineer at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. I'd like to welcome Rachel to start today's presentation.
Thanks, Lynn. On the webinar today, our esteemed competition director, Sam Rashkin, will give you an introduction to the Race to Zero. Then I will cover what you need to know to kick off the competition and get started. We will conclude by answering any questions you may have at this time. So, Sam Rashkin is the Chief Architect of the Building Technologies Office in the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, in the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. He received his Bachelor of Architecture from Syracuse University and is a registered architect in California and New York. Sam has worked on the steering committee for USGBC's Lead for Homes, NEHB's Green Builder Guidelines, and EPA's WaterSense label, and also worked on EPA's Indoor Air Plus label. And now we would like to welcome our competition director, Sam Rashkin.
Hey, thank you so much, Rachel, and I hope you all will put up with our colds that both Rachel and I have, so my voice is a little more difficult today. But welcome. We're so excited to do Race to Zero in 2018. And if we can go to that first slide, we have the Race to Zero vision I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, it's a design challenge for zero energy ready buildings. And it's not just a challenge to do a zero energy performance, but also to meet the design, cost, and constructability expectations of the building industry. And second, it's an advanced university buildings. We want to advance the building science curriculum at universities all across the country and internationally as well. Third, we want to inspire collegiate students to really almost change their lives, to actually go forth and really seriously consider making sustainable buildings an integral part of their careers. And finally, prepare the next generation buildings workforce so it's ready to apply the innovations we believe are so critical to buildings that will work in the future, that will deliver not just the performance, the energy efficient savings, but just total performance that's absolutely mandatory for a much, much more efficient future. So moving on to the Race to Zero stars, this is a map showing since 2014 through 2017 that there have been 131 teams that have been part of this Race to Zero competition. That includes 65 different collegiate institutions. And as the cluster of stars show on this map, we're well represented across so much of the country and in a number of international countries as well. Moving to the stars for last year, which was our most successful and most recent year, we had 44 collegiate institutions competing in the Race to Zero. That include 50 different participating teams, so often there was more than one team from a individual institution, and we covered 4 countries last year, including Canada, India, and Brazil. And there were more than 500 students that were effectively participating in the Race to Zero. So this has been an incredible success for us to really engage so much of the country and the international academic community involved in architecture, engineering, and construction management. And so the competition begins on the next slide, and you see a gathering last year, 2017, of all the students and faculty members outside the NREL facility where we begin the competition. And from the very beginning, there's so much excitement and so much enthusiasm from the day everyone gets there. And what an opportunity just to meet and to network with so many different institutions, with so many different industry members. It's an amazing way. So the competition gets off to a great start. Then the competition experience, and of course, is what we're all about. And every year we want this to be an experience, like I said, that will actually have a huge impact on the lives of the students. This quote, this competition is a great opportunity to go beyond regular materials and resources that are introduced in the typical classroom. So these students really do see the benefit of this, giving them so much new content and experience that they're not getting in the curriculum to complement and enhance what they get at school. Going on to presenting to the jurors, one of the most useful aspects of the competition and the experience is the opportunity to present cogently a very complete design solution for a zero energy building to a very expert team of jurors. Often includes an architect or a designer, a builder, an industry member, someone from the research community that's very engaged in high performance buildings. So you really have an incredibly useful opportunity to get feedback from experts on your designs. Moving on to the jurors themselves, like I said, they have a diverse industry experience that they represent. And here you see the 4 groups of jurors from 2017. So you will have one block of jurors that actually see all the teams within a single category. And like I said, they come from diverse backgrounds, including the building industry, research community, industry, designers. It's just an amazing opportunity to hear from the best about your designs. Another very important part of the Race to Zero, if we move on to the next slide, is the opportunity to hear from thought leaders. Often we'll have at least 3 or 4 different presentations, plus we bring in the NREL director, in this case, Martin Keller, to give the students a larger vision for the buildings industry and sustainability, where things are headed in the future, key concepts that can enhance their careers. So this is, for us, one of our favorite parts of the event, is a chance for the students to hear these experts speak to them. And what we hear from the experts, by the way, it's one of their favorite opportunities to do presentations. Moving on to experiencing NREL. NREL is one of the 4 major, sorry, I have a cough, so I'm having to take a break. But NREL is one of the 4 major research institutions that works with the Department of Energy. And it's a very special campus. So when you come to visit, you'll find that not only is it great experience, the competition itself, but being at this center for so much research excellence is great, both because of the research and the physical, excuse me, because of the physical plant itself. It's such a rich architectural campus, as well as a great landscape campus. I enjoyed the exposure to the NREL facility with a tour and meeting with people who work there, is one quote from last year. And as part of that experience being at NREL, there are tours where students, again, are taken around one of the country's most preeminent zero energy buildings and gets to see firsthand the zero energy building in action. Another very important part of the experience of the competition is career connections. This is a session we hold right before the gala event. And during this career connection session, students can meet with a variety of different potential employers, including the research laboratories themselves, various different manufacturers, architects, designers, builders. And whether it's talking about a specific job or just learning about the types of career opportunities in different kinds of organizations, it's an amazing opportunity to connect, to learn, to inquire, to interact, and to network so that you're better prepared going into the job-seeking mode once you're done with school. And finally, competition itself and the distinction for being award winners and just for being a competitor is so significant part of the event. What the Race to Zero offers is something more than what we can do in the classroom alone. It's truly a total experience, again, in which the students just have great experience and great recognition. And finally, of course, part of that recognition in the 2017 grand winner slide is, of course, there are grand winners. There's one winner in each category for the competition, one contest category. And then there's a special group of jurors, the grand award jurors, who will pick the grand award winner among the 4 first-place finishers in the design contest. Last year, that winner was Ryerson University and the University of Toronto, a collaborative team, and their design was a very intriguing repurposing of space that was underutilized, the garage in the back of units in these laneways in Toronto, where there's a very significant shortage of housing. And this team developed a very innovative solution for providing housing where the garage was being underutilized and was very well received by the judges. Another very interesting winner last year were the designs for the local community impact, the Pennsylvania State University Full Circle team. They did a development project for attached housing that would be part of a real project in their community. And finally, in international designs, or second to finally, there was a CEPT University team from India, and they designed a really innovative architectural solution that was recognized by the jurors. And if you look at this design, I think it would be well placed architecturally, both in the U.S. and in India itself. But it was a beautiful design that the judges were very, very impressed by. And lastly, new perspectives and real industry experiences. The Ball State University team did a design for a single-family residence, working with a local builder in their community. And this is a design they came up with. They took the builder's original design and they significantly upgraded the design and the energy performance of the building. The builder was so impressed, he told the students he was going to implement their design and energy improvements. And if you look on the next slide, new perspective and real life experiences, you see the actual job site staked out to actually implement and build the winning design by the Ball State University team. And let me wrap up by saying, in the last slide, the joy of the Race to Zero, that ultimately, maybe this is my most fun slide, because the thing I think that's most significant about the 2 days event is the students' pure joy when they're at this competition. One is the opportunity not only to themselves to compete, but secondly, to actually compare themselves to all the other universities that are competing as well, and take notes about how other schools approach very similar types of design challenges, what they're learning in their programs. There's just a whole array of connections that they make that are so important, and the joy of just meeting these other universities, getting out of the silo of your own university programs, experiencing other countries, other universities. The total joy of the event will capture anyone that attends. So this is the Race to Zero. I really appreciate you putting up with my my voice today and struggles with a little bit of throat irritation, but hopefully you get the idea that Race to Zero is a very special opportunity. It's a chance to integrate building science, zero energy performance in your existing curriculum. Some students will take it on as an additional activity on their own, but in any case, this will be a special event for all of you that we look forward to you joining us.
Thank you, Sam. We appreciate your time today to talk to us about that. That was wonderful. So my name is Rachel Romero. I'm an energy engineer here at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL as we call it. I am also the Race to Zero competition manager. So welcome to the 2018 Race to Zero. Welcome to those who are returning to us for another year. We're so glad to have you back. If you're joining the competition for the first time, we're so excited that you have decided to join the race. I will be working with you and your team in the next month through April to give you all the information you need to compete in the Race to Zero. I will also answer your questions when you email the race2zero@nrel.gov. I have an incredible team of organizers that I will work with who will help to make this a great learning experience for you all. So, participants in the U.S. Department of Energy Race to Zero Student Design Competition generate creative solutions for real-world issues in our nation's building industry. Participating teams complete a design project and attend the competition event where they present their designs to a panel of industry expert jurors, just as Sam talked about. Collegiate institutions that participate in the Race to Zero are recognized as leaders that are producing career-ready young professionals with cutting-edge skills. The Race to Zero is designed to encourage student participation for 1 or 2 academic semesters, concluding in the spring with your project presentation and awards banquet at NREL. So the competition guide provides the information teams need to participate. You can find the guide on the Race to Zero website. To get started in the competition, teams should thoroughly read the guide, including the appendices. The appendices contain key information you will need for completing your project submissions. The guide is your reference throughout the entire competition. Also, please note that the organizers will be publishing minor revisions in January of 2018 based on questions received until that date and to ensure clarity to competing teams. So the guide includes information about the competition timeline and important dates as well. Please note that all deadlines are 5:00 p.m. Eastern Time on the designated date. Team applications are due on November 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. No applications will be accepted after this time. Additionally, the optional project introductions and your preliminary team roster are due as well at this date. We will be talking about both of those today. If a team member who is not a U.S. citizen wants to participate in person at the competition event held on the NREL campus, each affected person must submit a foreign national data card. Additional information and requirements are provided in the online team application site. All teams are accepted to participate at the November 7th deadline. Then teams must submit a project progress report on February 20th, 2018. Final project reports are due on April 3rd of 2018, and then invited teams compete on April 21st and 22nd at NREL in Golden, Colorado. So what next? We encourage you to look for your team members. Your team will need at least 3 students in addition to a faculty lead. Teams are definitely welcome to be larger. Take some time to review the winning submissions from the 2017 competition that are posted on the Race to Zero website. The 2018 contest structure is similar to 2017, but there are a few variations in the evaluation parameters and terminology. Then look for your industry partners. These partners provide teams with real-world experience. Potential partners can be found through local professional organizations, vendors, and architectural and engineering firms. Finally, you will want to make sure that we have a current roster, which ensures that everyone has access to the resources. Team rosters can be submitted to race2zero@nrel.gov. When you're ready to confirm your school will have a team, you can complete a team application. This can be completed at any time until November 7th. You will need 1 faculty lead to register on behalf of the team, and the team will have to indicate the design contest that you are applying for. $100 is required to complete the team application. This collected fee contributes to competition event costs. So forming a team. A university or college may have more than 1 team. A team may be comprised of 1 or more collegiate institutions. Team members should currently be enrolled in a class at the collegiate institution. Student team members can be from any discipline at the collegiate institution and any level of collegiate schooling, but they must be a degree-seeking student at the time of the competition in April. Students should also reach out to industry partners who can provide additional mentorship through the design phase. Team members could represent the areas outlined in the guide: architectural, engineering, construction management, interior design, business and finance, environmental sustainability, and often other disciplines. We definitely encourage you to look for a multidisciplinary team. As I mentioned before, each team needs to submit a roster. Please submit one for each team, even if you have multiple teams at your collegiate institution. Each team, again, must have at least 3 students and a faculty lead, with 1 student designated as the student team lead. You can download the template, which is an Excel file, from the team application site, and upload the completed Excel worksheet to race2zero@nrel.gov. An Excel file is required. Please do not submit a PDF file, as that's hard for us to process. When submitting your team roster, please use the following naming configuration. It will be your college's short name, your contest abbreviation, the name team roster, and the submission date. Submitting a roster will provide the organizers a list of names to grant access to the Race2Zero groups.io portal, which I'll be talking about here shortly, which is the main means of communication for information, webinars, and other resources during the competition. As your team is formed, you can resubmit updated team rosters as often as needed. Make sure to change the submission date and the file name before resubmitting. You'll also notice on the right side of the team roster there is a way to indicate the building science training. When you initially submit your team roster, you do not need to indicate where you are in the building science training, which we'll talk about here more shortly. But if you plan to take equivalent curriculum, you can indicate that here. After your team registers, those who are on the team application or the team roster, if you submit that, will be invited to join the groups.io portal. This portal is used as the main form of communication during the competition. This groups.io portal will continue to provide updated information throughout your competition preparation. When you receive the invitation, please accept it and log on to the portal. Make sure you can view the main resources, especially the tab that says Messages and the File. Under the Messages tab, you will find messages from the Race2Zero organizers. This will include information about upcoming webinars like today's, links to webinar recordings, which will be posted here shortly, PDFs, and other competition announcements. Currently, our competition director, Sam Rashkin, has posted a welcome message, and I have posted a welcome from the organizers as well. You can also see the reminder for the webinar today. Under the Files tab on the Groups.io portal, your team will find a folder of webinar recordings and slides, as well as important competition documents. Currently, the instructions for accessing the building science training, instructions for downloading the REM rate, a list of collegiate short names, the project summary template, and team roster templates are posted here. When documents are added, the organizers will post a message about new files. We hope you will find the Groups.io portal useful to you as you begin building your designs. As students engage for the next 4 to 8 months in the Race2Zero, the organizers offer several educational resources. Building science training is offered as well as these competition information-specific webinars. The financial analysis tools will be posted on the Groups.io portal as well. All team members must complete a free building science training offered. The training is available online, on demand and online, and covers the principles of high-performance buildings as taught by renowned industry experts. As soon as the organizers have an updated team roster, students may access the training, which could happen today. Upon completion of each video, students will be prompted to answer a few comprehension questions. As of today, these are not currently available, but should be available in October. Upon completion of all of the videos, a certificate will be provided to show completion. Or, if you are not doing the building science training, you must have this requirement waived by the team's faculty lead with confirmation of equivalency for courses the students have completed, as indicated on the team roster. Are you ready to work on your project now? Teams must demonstrate the effective integration of building science principles and best practice guidelines for the building envelope and mechanical systems. Also in your project, you should demonstrate that you are relevant to your specified market. Teams are able to develop a new design or upgrade an existing design, such as production builder plans. Also, a retrofit or building rehabilitation is allowed under the competition. Please ensure that any retrofits or upgrades continue to meet the competition definition as stated in the guide. Each team defines their own specific location, their building lot or site, and neighborhood characteristics as context for the building design and its relationship to surrounding structures and the community. In the 2018 edition of the Race to Zero, we have 5 contests available to choose from, 4 residential contests and 1 commercial contest. In residential, suburban single family, and urban single family are our most popular categories. Suburban single family covers a larger lot, while urban single family is a smaller lot size. Attached housing looks at 2 to 6 units in the duplex or townhouse style, while small multifamily covers buildings that are 3 or fewer stories above grade. Each of the residential contests need to meet the current version of the Zero Energy Ready Home program requirements. Please see the definition in the guide for complete information about each of the residential contests. We are so excited about the new commercial contest in the Race to Zero. An elementary school is a complete educational facility for grades kindergarten through 5th, and it provides permanent provisions for a cafeteria, gym, offices, classrooms, and other support functions. The school and site should be designed such that sufficient renewable energy could be installed on-site with capacity, such that the actual annual delivered energy is less than or equal to the on-site renewable exported energy. And this definition is available in the guide. The elementary school looks to meet the design parameters of the Advanced Energy Design Guide for K-12 schools, which will be available in November of 2017. All of our contests will be evaluated using the following evaluation parameters. The jurors will evaluate how well teams meet or exceed each evaluation parameter criteria, and how the teams complete the requirements of the project submission. Jurors score each parameter on a scale of from 0 to 10 as outlined in section 311 of the guide, and teams will need to justify their design and demonstrate knowledge in their project submissions. Projects will be evaluated in the following parameters: architectural design, interior design, lighting, plug loads, and appliances, your energy analysis, your constructability, your financial analysis of your design, envelope performance and durability requirements, your indoor air quality and ventilation design, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems design, how you present and perceive innovation, and how your presentation and documentation quality is. Detailed descriptions for each parameter is in the guide, along with other valuable resources for each of these evaluation parameters. When looking at integrated building design, there are some keys that past projects have used to ensure success. As you get started, work to agree on a joint vision and your design goals at the beginning of the project. Select a strong team leader and then clearly define your team roles and rules. Run effective team meetings. The team leader is key here. Ensure you have an agenda and clearly defined outcomes of team meetings. Create an environment of mutual respect. Each team member brings a unique perspective to the project. Remain open to others' recommendations for design input and project implementation. Create a reasonable schedule for successfully completing the project goals. Set your schedule out now, as deadlines come quickly and you don't want to miss one. And submit your work early. Many successful teams in the past submit several hours or a day before the deadline and email the organizers to ensure that the deliverable has been received. And have fun. Enjoy the work together as you progress towards your final design. The Race to Zero culminates with the competition event in April. 40 finalist teams will be invited to compete in person. This event provides a rich experience for on-site participants through networking opportunities and attending other team and professional presentations, as Sam discussed earlier. The organizers expect each team to send at least one in-person student to the competition. The faculty lead is encouraged to attend, but is not required. Event registration will open in March. At least 1 and up to 5 team members total from each team may attend in person, including students and the faculty lead. We encourage all students who are on site to participate in the team presentation. Faculty may not present. The organizers do not provide financial assistance for lodging or travel expenses. We will have a block of rooms available near the campus for a discounted rate. Please note that we do provide meals and snacks at no cost over the weekend. And if your team is interested in bringing a scale model, indicate this when you register, because you'll see those in some of the pictures here, and they can be on display during your presentation and during the poster session. Industry representatives will be selected as jurors, and as Sam said earlier, they are so excited to be jurors and interact with you throughout the weekend. Within your contest, your final project report submission will be evaluated by your contest jurors prior to the competition. The jurors will then watch the on-site team presentations and ask your team questions. They will assign scores to each team and then award a first and second place winner within your contest. They will also provide you feedback. New this year, we're excited to have the undergraduate award. If both the first and second place in a contest are undergraduate students or mixed graduate and undergraduate teams, jurors will select a top undergraduate team award winner. As Sam said earlier, there are 2 categories of awards. There's contest award and then there's the grand jury award. Each contest jury panel chooses a first and second place contest award winner. Then a grand jury will select a grand winner from among the 5 first place contest award winning teams based solely on their 10-minute presentation given at the awards center. We will discuss this more as we get closer to the competition event. There are 5 main project submissions throughout the competition year. At this time, we will go over the project introduction. In future webinars, we will go over the other project submissions in addition to the technical content of that specific webinar. Please note that when teams are looking at the 2017 documents from the past winners, that the project submissions have changed, so please follow the instructions in the guide. By November 7th, submit your optional project introduction as detailed in Appendix A of the guide. Teams can pull the project summary template from the Race to Zero website or the groups.io portal. It uses Greek text as a placeholder for the content that your team should insert. It is understood that for the initial submission, the project details might be considerations, aspirations, or otherwise tentative and subject to change in future submissions. The project introduction provides the information necessary to communicate the important points of the project to all competition participants. It should be considered a high-level summary of the project. Teams submit the project introduction first as a standalone document, and then it will be integrated into your progress report and then your final report. The format requirements for the project introduction are as follows. Use standard paper size and ensure the borders are 1/2 inch at minimum. The project introduction should not exceed 3 pages, and the file should not be greater than 10 megabytes so that it can be received at the Race to Zero email. We encourage a PDF to ensure your images and formatting are correct. And then name the file according to the instructions in the Appendix F of the guide. For all the submissions, please follow the organizer's electronic file naming instructions. This ensures that your project is attributed to the correct team. We often have several teams from one collegiate institution, so your contest is very important to us. Collegiate short names can be found on the groups.io portal, and the other abbreviations are in the guide. I've presented an example here for you of a project progress report submitted on February 20th, 2018 by the Illinois State University team in the Urban Single Family Contest. Based on Appendix B, project introductions will be evaluated based on 2 criteria. The organizers will ensure that the building design is in compliance with the contest definition and that you are meeting the format requirements. Feedback will be provided to the teams on only these 2 items, as it is still early in the design. On November 7th, the team application closes. All teams that complete the team application will be accepted as participant teams. If there are more than 8 teams applying for any contest, the organizers will notify all teams of the distribution and allow up to 7 days for teams to select a different contest from the options available on the Race to Zero groups.io portal, if they would like to do so. Teams will need to email the organizers to change your contest. Each day, the contest distribution will be republished. At the conclusion of this, on November 15th, the organizers will notify all teams of the final contest distribution and then publish the 2018 Race to Zero participating teams online. Again, here's the overview of dates. The next deadline after the November 7th team application date is the project progress report due on February 20th, 2018. This is a required project submission. If more than 8 teams submit to one contest category at this time, then within 10 days, entries are evaluated against criteria indicated in Appendix B of the guide. Based on the project progress report evaluation, up to 8 teams per contest category are invited to participate in the final competition. So 40 teams are invited to attend the competition. That was a lot of information, I know. So make sure you continue to engage with the organizers and ask lots of questions of us. In the meantime, we do have a hashtag to promote the enthusiasm of the Race to Zero. We love to see your social media excitement as you develop your designs and teams and your zero energy ready building design. So use the hashtag DOE Race to Zero with your next post. To kick off the technical competition webinars, our own Race to Zero director, Sam Rashkin, will be giving a webinar on what is good housing design. This webinar will be on Wednesday, October 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern. As a note, all webinars are recorded and available on the groups.io portal with the PDF of the slides as well. Announcements of future webinars will be on the groups.io portal and the Race to Zero website homepage. Thank you for attending this webinar. Please check out our website on energy.gov and sign up for the updates to keep current with the Race to Zero program. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email the organizers at racetozero@nrel.gov. We are here to help you and your team be successful. At this time, we will take questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you, Rachel, for providing such great information. As I mentioned earlier, continue submitting questions through the portal if you have any. We'll go through the questions that we have today, and as Rachel mentioned, after today's webinar, if you have additional questions, feel free to email. So we have a few questions about the application process. So the first one is, can a faculty lead can a faculty advisor be a lead for more than one team?
Great question. A faculty lead may advise more than one team. So in the past, we've had, for example, Ball State Architecture submitted a team in each contest, and they all had the same faculty lead.
Okay, great, thank you. And also related to that, does the student team lead need to be designated by the time that the application is submitted, or can that student team lead change after the November deadline date?
So you can complete your team application at any time. We would love to see a preliminary roster by the November 7th date to ensure that you have a team and that you're getting access to the building science resources that your team needs to compete. Teams are encouraged to submit an updated roster throughout the competition to the Race to Zero email box, and that can be submitted at any time. So if you get 10 more team members in January, submit a new roster and we'll ensure they're getting the resources that they need.
So, Rachel, the next application question we have is that do teams need to submit an application to get access to the group's IO portal, or how do they get access to that portal again?
At this time, teams need to complete the team application to get access to the portal.
So the next question is about the project introduction. Are the teams expected to do software simulations for their project introduction?
Great question. The project introduction is to set out what are your goals, what are your strategies. Tell the organizers what your where your design is going to be, how you're going to meet the contest definition. It's very much a tentative, where is the state of your project, rather than a this is what you're going to do. So simulations are not necessarily a requirement. One of the parts of the project introduction is a HERS score. Maybe that's your HERS score goal. That's more what we're looking for.
Great, thank you, Rachel. So the next question is about the projects themselves. So are there any restrictions on where the buildings are located?
No. You may locate your design anywhere in the world. The one caveat to that is that our jurors are typically from the continental United States. So if you base your design somewhere else, you might relate your location to a climate that our jurors would understand.
And is there a maximum number of team members allowed on each project?
We only put a minimum number of team members on each project. There is no maximum.
Great. The next question is about the finalist teams. How many finalist teams are typically chosen?
So, as I said, on November 7th, all teams are accepted as participating teams. With your February 20th project progress report deliverable, we will select 40 finalist teams, and since we have 5 contests, that will most likely be 8 finalist teams within each contest.
Great, thank you, Rachel. The next couple questions relate to the new commercial contest. So if a team is interested in that contest, what resources would you recommend for them to that would be most helpful for them if they are interested in that contest? Great question.
So the commercial contest, the elementary school, is a new contest. The best resources are to start with this links within the guide. There are several links to elementary school specific resources, and to start there. In the next few weeks, the organizers will be posting links to other technical resources, as well as the modeling software and the financial analysis tool to the groups.io page as well.
So the next question related to that contest, if teams are interested in the commercial contest, what recommendations do you have in terms of them identifying the appropriate partners for their contest? Would they look at it the same way that the other contests do?
Great question. So if you're interested in the commercial contest, you're probably going to be looking for very specific industry partners. Some ways to do this would be, if there are new schools in your area, to reach out to their architectural and engineering firms to get some mentorship from those architects and engineers that regularly do elementary schools or schools. There may be manufacturers or also building materials that are specific to that school that would be good industry partners as well.
Great. A couple more questions that just came in. This one's pretty simple. So is there a cash prize for this competition?
There is not a cash prize for the Race to Zero competition, but there is all kinds of great glory associated with our winners. The winners this year were posted, their winning statement was posted on the DOE's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Facebook. It's posted on LinkedIn. We'll post it on the web. It'll go out to several of our media partners. So the grand winner gets lots of great recognition and a beautiful trophy.
Great, thank you. And so we have one more question about resources. So this question is specifically about the required building science training. Because given that the quizzes are being added to this year's training, will completion of a past Race to Zero building science training qualify as a course equivalency for returning teams and students?
That is a great question. If the person who asked that question could email the Race to Zero at nrel.gov, that specific question, I would like to get back to you specifically. I am going to say, since our training is very similar, we would honor a past year's completion certificate.
And then a follow-up question related to the required building science trainings. Are any of those trainings specific to either the commercial residential, or are they applicable to both?
So the building science training, there are 10 base webinars. And those 10 cover basic building science principles. So the principles are very much seated in a residential context, but are still applicable in the commercial elementary school zone as well. In addition to those 10 base lessons, we have a lesson on innovation in building science, which would be helpful to all contests. We have a lesson specifically for small multifamily to help with the challenges that are encountered in that building type. And then we do have a brand new elementary school webinar as well that is also in that group. So all contest participants should check that out.
Okay, great. And I think that's all of the questions we have at this time. So if you have additional ones, feel free to reach out to us. And Rachel, as we wrap up, do you want to go ahead and go back to the slide with the deadlines and things like that? And that way we can make sure that everyone remembers the upcoming November 7th deadline. As with anything, we're sure that you realize not to wait to the last minute, but if you have any questions between now and then, definitely reach out to the Race to Zero email box. Thanks again to Rachel and Sam for providing such great information. And as they both said, we couldn't be more excited to see you all in 2018. So thank you very much for your time today, and reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Thank you.